Remarkable people overcoming remarkable challenges with resilience, dedication, community, and grit. Listen as they share their stories of overcoming adversity. Open your eyes to what is genuinely possible for all of us. Authentic Adversity with host Chris Howe.
Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Adversity podcast. If you're enjoying the content, please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe. Today, I'm sitting down with the owner of Backroads Barbershop. She's a barber. She's got multiple years in sobriety. This is Miss Jackie. Welcome.
What's up?
Good to have you. Yeah, it's nice to, I think I've been following your social media for a little while, and I think I first saw you on a sobriety page. It might have been like the We Are Those People page. Frank. Yeah. And I've connected with so many great people off of that page. And
me too.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love what they're doing.
Yeah.
And when I saw your account, it was just I loved that you were open about your sobriety. You ride motorcycles. That's cool. I love what your dude's doing with like his painting and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's and you're just, what I really like when I see your page, you're always with your kids. You're a good mom. You're really thriving in sobriety, and I love to see that. I love to see people thriving in sobriety, and kind of part of this podcast is just learning people's stories and having the listeners maybe find a piece of relatability in somebody's story, so they know that somebody else has lived that life and kind of got through it and are now living a life in sobriety and recovery that's not boring. What I mean? Like, I really think that people out there that haven't lived in sobriety, people out there that are in active addiction still, like, they don't realize how much fun that we can have in sobriety, right? So I think just watching your social media, and like, you're always out on the bike, you're always having a good time, like you're like killing it at work, killing it as a mother, killing it as a partner, just always it just looks like you're always enjoying your life, and I love to see that. So before we get there though, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that, I mean, I feel like I've always been that way, even when I did drink, but I feel like now maybe I'm not embarrassed of things, but I just love that I'm more proud of everything I do. And I feel like it took time in my sobriety to feel like happy all the time and feel like I'm accomplishing everything. So it took time where I'm like, you don't really show off what you're doing because you're still kind of getting through all your consequences or whatever it was. But now I'm like, I'm just enjoying the life, like the wave, pretty much.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I love that. And, I think that that's what's going to attract a lot more people to recovery, like to find their way to recovery. But before we get there, I mean, I usually like to talk about early life, what it was like for you growing up, and kind of go in a chronological order, and kind of paint a picture of what life was like for you. And then we'll get into, when the substances came into play, and we'll kind of go from there. So how'd you grow up?
Honestly, I had a really good childhood. But I feel maybe so I am adopted. I was adopted when I was 6 months old. So I was in an orphanage. Obviously we don't have memory as that young,
right?
But I feel like it must have done something to me. I feel just how I am, how I like to live, how I get attached to people, how sensitive I am. But I did have a great childhood. My mom, she's a little kind of white lady from New Jersey. So she adopted me. I had a great, she really gave me a beautiful childhood. Single mom. did everything to make it great, so
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, I was kind of a good girl, good kid for a long time. I think just my personality, I would kind of find things that excite me. So I
Right.
think that's how I kind of dabbled into like fun, exciting things, like people that were, and I would be influenced by other people, like friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a very colorful, loving, um, I traveled a lot with her when I was young. So she really did a great job of not making me feel unloved or,
Yeah.
because I'm adopted,
For
not
sure.
have that pain. Right.
I think it's important to kind of highlight that point, right? That we hear so many stories about growing up in alcoholic or addict families, and the physical, mental, emotional abuse and that sort of thing, and we can kind of see where the progression to addiction goes. Like that was my story, but I think
Hmm.
it's important to highlight that the stories that not all of our pasts were like that. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
that got addicted had great childhoods, had loving families. It's not just
Hmm.
for the people who were treated poorly as a kid, and you know what I mean. It's the
Yeah.
disease of alcoholism or addiction doesn't discriminate at all, right? And it's not,
Yeah.
so I think that's an important point to highlight, that your childhood, even though, yes, you said, for the first 6 months you were in an orphanage, and I'm sure that does emotionally, there's something there, even though you don't remember, there's something that an
Hmm.
abandonment or something that stays
Correct.
with
Yeah.
you, right? But I
Yeah.
think it's really important to know that, like, you were adopted into a loving, healthy, happy family, and you got a lot of
Yeah.
you got that love and the attention and the kind of all those boxes checked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, my mom likes to tell me probably it could have been in my parents,
Yeah.
So, because she never drank near me. It was never
Hmm.
anything toxic. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, it's amazing that you had that kind of upbringing, because it's very fortunate, and I think
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's the way that people should grow up. But
Yeah.
moving forward, in
Hmm.
your life, like, so you talked about being attracted to people who were maybe doing more exciting things or more edgy things. At what age did you start to feel this kind of disconnect, maybe, with the life that you were living, and the life that you kind of looked at as like more exciting and more maybe what you wanted to have a piece of?
Um, so my neighbors in our neighborhood, two doors down, they were, I think, 5 years older than me. So I was 12, 10, 12, where I was hanging out with kids that were 5 years older than me.
Okay.
So they would take me to a rave when I was 12, concerts. Um, they like to go steal their dad's car, and I would always be in the back seat
Yeah.
just kind of having fun. So definitely I was just influenced by older girls.
Hmm.
So yeah, just trying alcohol or trying a cigarette. I was very curious
Hmm.
and it was fun. And I think all those experiences being 12, you see life a little more differently and exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it started for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure, for sure. Do you remember your first drunk?
Yes, it was orange juice and vodka.
Okay.
I believe I was 12.
Hmm.
That's what they were drinking.
Right.
And it was orange juice to me. So I was like, I want to try it. It just tastes a little like, I knew there was alcohol in it and I understood that's what alcohol is. It doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think that was my first taste in it, but I didn't get, like out of hand at that age.
Okay.
No,
Did you get
just kind
caught?
of,
Was it still like fun and exciting
no.
that it was something you knew you weren't necessarily supposed to be doing, but you're getting away with?
I didn't think anything was bad, and my mom always let me
Okay.
just go have fun. Because remember, back in the day, our age, you just get home before it's dark, or you call
Mm-hmm.
the house.
Yeah.
We had no cell phones
No.
that back then, really. So maybe a pager, but I didn't have a pager.
Yeah.
Um, so it was just kind of the trust. My mom trusted I was doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't doing anything bad getting home.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I mean, I was still a good girl. Like, I still went to school, was being a good girl. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it didn't quite hit me of the going overboard.
Right, right, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So then I mean, I would assume that you continued hanging out with older people and probably
Hmm.
being introduced to things a lot earlier than the rest of the kids your age. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was very much the case for me too. And there's something about that for me that felt really special. Like it felt like you're part of an exclusive club that the rest of your
Hmm.
grade wasn't, and you were trying
Yeah.
things for the first time before anybody else did, and kind of I don't know, it was to me, and I don't know if it was the same for you, but to me it was really really difficult to say no to an older person no matter what they put in front of me. I just had to do it. It felt
Hmm.
like yeah, like it felt like my my membership to the club would get revoked if I didn't, so I just went all in with everything. Was that the case
Yeah.
for you too?
I was just more curious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't think anything was wrong at my age to do that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just thought everything is supposed to be an adventure. Um, yeah, and I didn't even think, oh, I'm doing this to upset my mom or she won't like this. Never crossed my mind. It
Mm-hmm.
was just, I'm with my friends, I'm safe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so at what point did that sort of like did the fun turn into a bit of a problem for you?
Problem. Honestly, so I didn't say this before. So my mom raised me with her mom, so my grandma.
Right.
And so my mom was like the dad working 40 hours a week. My grandma was the mom person.
Okay.
So when she passed away when I was 16 during high school, that's just when it was basically I lost a parent,
Right, right.
from, like, she was there when she adopted me, it's just those two women.
Yeah.
So when she died, that's just when my alcoholism and drugs, just I'd rather be out with my friends, took like a deep, I didn't know how to handle death, at 16.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I enjoy drinking, daily thing. You go around people that want to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of think that's just what you're going to do that day. Let's go get some 40s and
Yeah.
explore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's that, and then we find our little group of people that we make it the norm, right? Like that's
Hmm.
it just becomes it
Yeah.
becomes normal for us to do it, and we hang out with people who do it just like us. Um,
Yeah.
um, would you say so? And I'll relate this back to sort of like my story with alcohol and drugs. I got from it a relief that I couldn't find anywhere else. And it was a relief from like, for me, it was like the pain of childhood abuse, childhood trauma,
Hmm.
a lot of things, growing up, but, having that devastating thing happen to you with the loss of your grandmother, um, would you say that part of your substance abuse or use was in, just wanting to kind of blot that pain out and sort of numb that out
Yeah.
and not have, I mean, I think, um I think when we get using and drinking heavy, we're trying to avoid our own emotions, right? Like,
Hmm.
and I think you touched on this at 16 years old, you weren't emotionally equipped for that loss, right?
Yeah.
So that's where that
Yeah.
that the substances became your almost I want to say your medicine for that emotional void
Yeah.
you had, right?
Yeah. I definitely didn't know how to handle it. More like I had guilt. I thought I should have been a better, done the more mature thing the time she was going to pass.
Hmm.
And that same time, my first boyfriend, high school boyfriend, cheated on me. It was just like a like a lot of, I guess, things that I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
But I mean, now being older, I felt if a grandma passed being in my 30s, I feel like I could handle it better.
Right.
But during high school and all that, you just have fun with it. You start to forget, okay, I'm upset about her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just drinking all the time.
Yeah.
And having fun drinking, and it kind of turns into something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. And I could definitely relate to it. For me, that sort of like it for me, drinking and using like to excess became like what I thought my place in my social group was, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't anything but the party guy. You know what I mean? I was the guy that
Mm-hmm.
would drink the most. I was the guy that would do the most of whatever drug we had with us at the time. And
Yeah.
I would be the last one. I'd be up the latest. I'd be up for days at a time and pushing boundaries everywhere I could. And that to me, it became a bit of my identity, where
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, well, people expect this from me, so this is just who I am, and this is where I'm accepted. Um,
Yeah.
did you have an experience at all like that, where like in your social group, that was sort of like your place?
I mean, I was the one that had the car, so I was
Okay.
always the one driving everyone,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I loved being the one with the car, um, or how the pad to have parties if we could.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I had a place. I just always wanted to be with my friends, like hang out with me, let's do something. Like I wanted to stay busy,
Yeah.
just yeah, you kind of that void of feeling sad or lonely, you just want to be with people.
Right.
So I guess that was me.
Yeah, be with me doing something, because I can't handle being alone, and I don't
Hmm.
want to sit alone
Yeah.
with my feelings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This episode of the Authentic Adversity podcast is brought to you and sponsored by Another Road Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center. Another Road offers a client-centered recovery program tailored to every individual's circumstances. Their focus is to create a supportive, healing environment rather than a rigid, rule-based institution. Their dedicated commitment upholds the individual values, respecting each person's desire for recovery. Another Road understands that every individual requires a unique and focused approach to their recovery. Certain modalities of treatment are introduced along with the tools necessary for each client. Located in a rural setting, their addiction treatment center for all genders provides the perfect setting for a transformative recovery experience and sense of belonging. The private residential treatment facility offers an unparalleled program with counselors that have in-depth knowledge based on varying years of experience in addiction. Another Road utilizes unique, individual-focused plans for recovery that address the complexities of drug addiction, alcoholism, and prescription medication misuse. They have a 65% success rate when clients follow their program. I know many people who have completed this program, and they have absolutely rave reviews. To learn more, visit anotherroad.ca. So as you went through high school, and you're partying and drinking and that sort of thing, did you have a like a vision for your future? Did you have like a direction you wanted to go, or were you just kind of like moving through every day as it came?
Yeah. I didn't want to go to college. At some point I thought to go to like art college.
Okay.
But I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna work. So right after high school, I just wanted to work and make money. I just thought that's what you're supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
work. But I struggled with for a long time not knowing what do I want to do with myself. Like there's those people that are really good, like, oh, I want to be an engineer, oh, I want to do this and that. And I just had no like I know I liked art.
Right.
I mean I liked tattoos. And I was like, but what could I have as a career?
Mm-hmm.
It took me so long to find myself. And I feel like I found myself because I went sober.
Oh, really?
So I just kept kind of moving with the whatever, who I'm dating, just go that direction of
Okay.
what they're doing. Or, I just didn't have like, what does Jackie
Mhm.
want
Right.
or like? So yeah, that was tough for me.
Yeah.
And I felt like I don't have a purpose. Like, damn, like, am I really just going to be working at a bar? Or am I really just going to be hopping from job to job? Like, I don't know. And that was another hard time for me to like get sober. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Like
Right.
when I'm sober.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, that's a big question for a lot of people, right? Like, what do you, um, I think when we're in active addiction, like we don't have a clue what sobriety would look like for us because we really don't know ourselves. We don't know
Hmm.
the direction we want our life to go in. And even if we do have an idea of it, we probably, if we're drinking or and using alcoholically or as an addict, we probably don't have the self-esteem or the value in ourself to believe that we can do something better with our life, and
Yeah.
that sort
Yeah.
of like we might have the direction but we don't have the confidence that we can get there. And I think for a lot of us we can't get there in active addiction because that's our major roadblock. um and
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just I know you touched about like art and tattoos and stuff like that. Where you start like this, just out of curiosity, did you start getting tattooed early in life, or was it like a like
Yeah, I was like 17, 18,
okay,
which is ironic, like after maybe a year or so after her passing.
yeah,
I just started, I mean, I found it more creative, like, oh, I could be creative because I love art.
mm-hmm,
So, but I definitely, during my addiction of alcoholism, got tattooed heavy, like
yeah,
years, just heavy, heavy. And I wish I didn't do that because some of my art is so crap,
yeah,
But in that time, it was very therapeutic, and I just, even I was alcoholic, I just was fiending that as well. Like,
mm-hmm,
um, not saying I enjoyed pain. It was just like the feeling I'm releasing, um, the breathing, you release
yep,
pain, right?
yeah,
So I really like that. Um, yeah,
yeah.
pretty
I could
much.
very much relate to that too, because I mean I got the bulk of my tattoos in active addiction as well, and that was sort
Mhm.
of like just a thing I did. It was like, I don't know. Some people ask me like, dude, were you doing it to hide behind something? Were you doing it to like, and I don't think I was.
Mhm.
Mainly the things that I can say, I remember specifically wanting to, because I mean, I started getting tattooed 30 years ago, when I was 15. And back then, the way I was drinking and using, I really wanted to get a lot of tattoos so people would stay away from me. I didn't want people to
Mhm.
come close because I was scared to let people in, and I was scared to. So I think in that way, I sort of hurried up and got covered in them so people might sort of like cross the street if I was walking on the same side of the street, because back then it was that case, right? Like it wasn't like today when your every Starbucks employee is just as many tattoos as you and I.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, like it
yeah.
was it was different back then, and you definitely stood out as different. And I think for me back then, I wanted a I wanted them to maybe be a barrier between me and whoever was in my vicinity. I didn't want to have to open up to somebody. I didn't want people close to me. um
Hmm.
but there was also something about like going and yeah, it's not that like you like the pain, but it's something. It's that, I don't know, I've said a few times that um I was so numb to everything that sometimes I just, tattoos or getting tattooed allowed me to feel something that I was happy about.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I just, it's interesting because I think a lot of people that are like kind of heavily tattooed, they have a different, everyone has a different reason why, or like a
yeah,
different sort of story behind it. But especially the
yeah.
people that got a lot in active addiction, I feel like there is that like that therapeutic value to it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it drove me crazy when people say, "Oh, you're addicted. You're addicted." I'm like, "Stop.
Yeah.
That's not what it is." I personally just love art,
Mm-hmm.
artistic things, and I just took advantage of I can color my skin.
Yeah.
Um, and I found beauty in that. And I feel like tattoos kind of brought me trouble because I mean, it would bring me trouble of like people think I'm tough
Yeah.
or I'm a mean person. Um, I've had plenty of people say I look intimidating
Mm-hmm.
because maybe I don't smile much, and or people judged me. But once people got to know me, I'm goofy,
Yeah.
kind of dorky, kind of not square, but I just have moments, you know. Um, so yeah, I think it's a little bit the opposite of you. I know you kind of wanted that toughness. Um, I wasn't asking for that. I just loved being like some like different, like unique.
Yeah.
And I feel like, there's not a repeated person out there that has me, like my tattoo. So I felt like I'm recognized as, oh, that's Jackie.
Yeah.
Not to be tough or anything, but I would, girls would love to try and test me or try and fight with me or
Right.
just because of that, which sucked, but
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So bring me to like the dark days of your addiction and sort of like I want to talk about like kind of how bad it got for you and where sort of emotionally that brought you, and then how did you
Mhm.
from there find your way to sobriety and sort of like we'll talk about when that kind of light switch went off for you that like I I need to put this stuff
Oh
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when my grandma passed, like 19, discovering alcohol heavily, I did dip into, like certain pills
Mm-hmm.
and exploring that. But I had a cold turkey that when I was in my 20s.
Okay.
But I just said, but I'm not going to quit alcohol. I'll cold turkey. I'll quit, these pills that I love and like Molly, methadones. I'll quit that because I'm like, I can't handle that. That's not my personality. I didn't go there.
Right.
But I loved sticking on to alcohol. Alcohol was my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I tattooed JD for Jack Daniels. That was my nickname.
Okay.
It was Jackie Daniels, JD Jack. I love Jack. But yeah, that was like part of it. So then I just stayed on the steady road of just alcohol. Like I wasn't into weed anymore either, pills. But when I was, I'd say 24, 25, I got my third DUI.
Okay.
I got a DUI when I was 17, 19, then 25 or something like that.
Right.
So obviously I was of age. It was kind of a little like a hit of like, oh shit, like it's another DUI.
Yeah.
And, the lawyer says, you really got to be careful now because you're 25 now. So I did try getting sober when I was 25. But that was really difficult. Like it would be every 6 months, a year, because I didn't have a reason. It was just
Okay.
like, oh, I'm getting in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
I'm fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I like to fight. Um, Fight with boyfriends, picking the wrong men.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't have like an epiphany or something. So I did keep drinking here and there
When you
because I didn't believe in myself I could get sober.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure. When you tried to quit, was it just like I'm just gonna put it down and like did you try going to meetings or anything like that, or was it like I'll just walk away from it and let me just live a different life now?
25. So they did tell me you should go to AA meetings. My lawyer suggested it just for the court, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious, but in that time, I just knew, like, I'm just gonna pause. Um, I knew I still had in me, like, I'm not done drinking.
Right.
But I tried, 6 months, let's not drink. A year or a couple months, I was trying to just see if I don't have a problem. Maybe I just need to chill out,
Mm-hmm.
not doing the daily thing. But when I was 28, I got my technically fourth DUI.
Okay.
And that was really, I felt very disappointed in myself, only because I was like, wow, I think I really have a problem.
Yeah.
And just my best friends didn't want to be around me. Um, it wasn't like a big story, it was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of the repetition.
Yeah.
Um, and it made me sad that my friends didn't want to hang out with me because I was a little crazy. Like, that doesn't feel good, being called crazy, or,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Jackie's being Jackie, let's stay away from her,
Right.
blacking out. Um, just, I'm not really proud of, like, how many, or like what men I would be with,
Yeah.
and you regret it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if men feel that way.
Yeah, we do.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know. I just thought maybe it's just a female thing.
It's framed differently, but yeah, we have that thing.
It's framed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just more like allowing that person to have you, right? And allowing these not important people having
Mm-hmm.
a taste of you, right? And you're like, man, fuck that guy. That guy should never have been with me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So it was just too much embarrassing moments.
Right.
Yeah, just, I was like, I really have a problem. Like, or I have no control of myself,
Right.
right? Some people can drink and just give the keys to someone, maybe, but I do not listen to nobody when I drink. So I would always get my car keys and dip out, so,
Yeah.
and then you get caught, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm only smiling because I get it. Like I mean, it's not funny, but I was the exact same way. And isn't it funny that it took 4 DUIs to for that thing to say, like, oh, maybe I do have a problem. Like,
Yeah.
so for this is, for lack of a better word, for normal people that get caught with something like that the first time, they go, oh shit, okay, what needs to change here? But for people like us,
Yeah.
we need to prove it
Yeah.
it doesn't quite, we think, okay, we can control it. Then we get proven wrong. We get caught again. Then we think,
Yeah.
nah, it's not my fault. And maybe I'll do something differently, and I'll manipulate it somehow. And, but yeah, we have to fuck up multiple times. And then we go, oh, okay, maybe there's a problem. Where
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
people, it's the first time or the first scare that they have. They say, okay, fuck that, never again. We're like,
Yeah.
we push it, right?
Yeah. My fourth DUI was my scare, like being in jail for like 10 hours, and
Mm-hmm.
my lawyer saying, the next DUI you will be in jail, and I can't help you. So
Yeah.
that did scare me. I'm surprised it took 4 times for them to not lock me up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the 2 were like underage. So they were kind of like saying my of age was, the 2 were DUIs, but
Right.
technically 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Doesn't matter the age.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
This episode is sponsored by Carousel Tattoo and Barbershop. Custom tattoos and traditional barbering exceptionally tailored for each individual. Located in the historic lakeside community of Port Dalhousie, Ontario, Carousel Tattoo and Barbershop creates from their passion and dedication to the craft, combining traditional standards of uncompromising quality and exceptional service with modern craftsmanship to create a one-of-a-kind tattoo experience and head-turning cuts. Their aim is to continuously improve their skill set and give back to their trade and local community in a positive and impactful way. Visit Carousel Tattoo and Barbershop in Port Dalhousie, Ontario. So then after that fourth one, that was when you said, okay, let me have a serious look at my life, or was it like,
Yeah.
I'm swearing this stuff off today?
Um, I'm not gonna lie, I did relapse even then.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 2016, my fourth DUI,
Okay.
and I got sober April of 2018.
April 2018.
So so it was still a battle. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I was very disappointed in myself. I kept just in motion doing what I got to do, but like I said, I you you meet someone and then they make you feel that you can drink, right?
Yeah.
Or things are kind of steady. But yeah, once I started finishing the program, they made me do the 19 months DUI classes. I did community service. I finally like got to finish it by 2018, and
Okay.
I think that's when I was already in the motion. I'm like, okay, I'm about to get my license back. I haven't been drinking. I'm just gonna stick to it. Like it's really stuck now. Like not drinking, and I wanted my license back. I didn't have it for 2 years. I wanted to be done with DUI classes.
Mm-hmm.
I I felt like my life was coming together. Like I started barber college sober.
Yeah.
No, I drank a little during, and then I finally was done. And I was like, look, I'm in barber college. Like that's what I want to do. So because I was allowing all these positive things come to my life when I was going sober, and it
Right.
was actually like working, like I'm like, wait, I could see like the light. Like okay, I really need to stay away from alcohol because all these good things are happening.
Right.
Um, and then just finally being what 29 or 28, 2018. I don't know, I'm old.
You're not.
I feel old. I'm 35, about to
I'm
be
10 years older
36.
than you. You're not old.
Okay, cool, thanks. But yeah, but then when I would date someone, being sober, dating someone that does drink,
Mm-hmm.
it made me want to be more sober. So I was at a maturity level in my sobriety, I feel, because I feel like you get mature in your sobriety, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
And so, and growing in my sobriety, and I felt like, okay, this guy is influencing me to really not drink, and I feel better that I'm not drinking because of his abuse, you know? So I just feel like, yeah, so I think that's how it stuck.
So
Just experiences.
yeah. So you would be with a guy who was drinking heavily, and you'd look at that and almost be like, "Fuck that! I don't want to be that."
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
almost like this is looking in a mirror a couple years
Hmm.
ago, and I can't go back to that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so how
exactly.
and would you stay? Would you stay with? I mean, would you stay with a person that was drinking like that? Like after a while, it's
So
got to be
it was
exhausting,
like
right?
a year,
Yeah.
a year. Obviously, the person was very good at like not letting me see their dark side yet either.
Hmm.
You know, because people don't show their true colors. I feel till 3 to 6 months. You kind of see things, but you are not sure yet.
Yeah, and you're a little bit
Um,
blinded by that honeymoon phase of like new person, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, being sober doesn't make me smart. Like
yeah,
when it comes to like picking men, like I'm clearly have an issue because I never had a dad, and I will stick to that. I never had a figure to explain things to me.
hmm,
Um, but yeah, I am dating someone now that's sober, and it's
yeah,
probably the best thing ever.
yeah,
And I'm not. I mean, maybe that work doesn't work. Maybe other people could do it, but I I don't want to smell it. I don't want to see you change.
yeah,
We don't need unnecessary arguments.
right,
So I like to just stay away. Doesn't mean my friends have to stay away, but because I can
definitely,
handle it.
yep, yep.
But relationship wise, um, it just works so much easier for me.
It
Yeah.
definitely does. And my wife's also sober, and
Hmm.
I couldn't. I mean, and I've been with previous partners to her that they would drink, maybe not like alcoholically, or they might smoke weed every once in a while, but I got to a
Yeah.
point where like, yeah, it didn't make me want to do it but it was like what you said, like, I just don't want to smell it. I don't want to have to pick you up from the bar. I don't want to have to, I don't want to have to babysit somebody. I'm a grown man. I don't want a child, like somebody acting like a child,
Yeah.
around me. Right. So, when I met my wife, the fact that she was sober was a massive bonus.
Yeah. Oh
It,
yeah.
like it, that was a bonus on top of all the other amazing things about her.
Hmm.
But now looking back, I mean, I couldn't be, I don't think I could be with anyone that wasn't sober after experiencing something like this. And of course, I never want to be with anybody other than my wife. But um, I feel like blessed to have met the right person who also is living the same lifestyle as me.
Yeah, it is
Because
a lifestyle.
yeah,
And it's like strangely a support. You go out to eat and you're both not having to drink,
yeah,
right? Or you're at a social gathering, you are together not drinking and can laugh and be goofy without alcohol, you
right,
know.
right,
Um, yeah, I didn't like that. Like I felt like someone who knows you're sober as a partner it's like a little bit of like a disrespect to me
hmm,
to like I'm just gonna have a couple drinks, like you're fine, like I know I'm fine, but that's not the point, like
yeah.
um I don't know.
For sure. But on the flip side of
Yeah.
that too, then we're also thinking like, well, we don't want, if you really want to have those couple drinks, I don't want to be the reason why you're not doing that, because then you're going to be resentful of me for like keeping you from that. So if it's two
Hmm.
people that are just
Yeah.
sober, you know what I mean? Two people that are just sober, and like you said, you can go out for food, you can go out on your bikes, you can go, like,
Hmm.
hang out with the kids, and like have, like, every kid wants a sober parent and a sober step parent,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I mean, my wife, so I have a stepson in my life, and he's never seen my wife, and he's never seen me not sober. His dad lives on the
Yeah.
East Coast, but and he's
Yeah.
his own person, but the people who are stable in his life, I'm so, I think that's amazing that the child that we're raising has never seen a parent under the influence. And that, I mean, that's so
Yeah.
special, right? Like, because I grew up around alcoholism and addiction and that sort of thing, and
Hmm.
to me it feels like, breaking the cycle a little bit, and also like,
Yeah.
we how many kids you have?
I have two.
Two daughters, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't imagine drinking
Yeah,
around them or smelling like it.
yeah,
And I mean, I don't judge other people that do that.
hmm,
I just, for me, and I'm just mean. I know I'm a mean person. And even if I'm sober now and I lose my shit
hmm,
and I'm like, damn, I'm a little harsh on my girls right now.
yeah,
But it'd be so much more when I drank, and so I just, I do like seeing, I don't like to hurt people. So in my sobriety, when I would hurt someone, I feel it even more.
hmm,
I feel like a pain more hurting someone than someone hurting me, I think.
yeah,
And so um, I'm like extra sensitive. I hate it. I think it's like a flaw to be hella sensitive, but I'm
hmm,
pretty sensitive. I'm a Pisces, so I'm like, I am water,
yeah,
like
yeah,
full. I'm like, have you seen Elemental?
I have, yeah,
That movie,
yeah,
little guy always
yeah.
cries. I feel like that's
That's
me
you.
kind of,
Yeah.
but like inside. I won't show people I'm crying, but
Hmm.
inside.
I don't think being emotional is at all a disadvantage. I think the people that can't be emotional, I think they're at a disadvantage because they don't know how to show it. I mean, and I would consider myself an emotional person as well, and I'm very much the same as you. Like, you might not see it, but what I feel is like heavy, and
Hmm.
I feel like all the feelings, like, uh, in a in a massive, like, guttural way, where it's like,
Yeah,
and
it's
am I?
flowing inside. It's
Yeah.
like in there.
I think that's a
Yeah.
sobriety thing though too, right? Because
Yeah.
once we get rid of a substance that was numbing us out, and once we don't have, I mean, in recovery, we don't have that thing to blame it on. We don't have, like, well, I was just fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and so when we actually get comfortable in our own skin and we start living in alignment with the life that we're meant to live, I
Yeah.
think that then we're finally able to accept emotions, and when we are able to feel them, they're big. They're big feelings,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
think,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say. I mean, I've practiced
Mm-hmm.
definitely in my sobriety, 5 years, almost six, practicing like how I take in emotion, how I communicate, and it's also just age. I guess we get more mature when we start to get older, but I definitely had to practice like how I deal with emotion not being drunk,
Yeah. Yeah,
and what I do. I don't always have to like hide or something. It's easier to just kind of push through it rather than just like not learning how to communicate. Um, you know.
for sure. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think that's a, like you said the right word. It's a maturity. It's an emotional maturity that we gain by moving through emotions and not running from them, right? We're
Mhm.
even painful things, we're not running from the pain or hiding from the pain. We're moving through it mindfully, and yeah, with that pain it comes a lot of other emotions, a lot of other feelings, but you learn that you can move through it, and you get sort of confidence and maturity that way in knowing that um we can experience hard things and still come out the other side. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
um
Absorbing it and kind of collecting it,
mhm.
and yeah, yeah, it's a trip being able to do it.
Yeah,
With not. There's a lot of times not thinking like, can I really make a year? Can I make 2 years? Like, it's a trip. Um, how easier it got not needing to.
yeah.
It's just not in my life. Like, I don't understand. Just not in my life. That alcohol is just not in my life. I don't know.
And does the
It's not
feeling,
weird to me.
yeah, for sure. No, and I'm the same way. I think like it doesn't feel like I'm like for the first year it felt like something was missing, but then
Yeah.
as time goes on it's like, no, that thing that was missing is actually the out of place thing, and I
Yeah.
was trying to fill it with other things. And but when you find the trajectory of your life that you want to go on, it's like you don't have time for a hangover. You don't have time to be drunk. You don't have time to be apologizing for the dumb shit you said. Like,
No.
and so being a business owner as well, like, did you um I would assume that you got into like ownership in sobriety, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and having doing something like that, I mean, would you have ever thought that's what you could achieve before
No.
you got sober? Never, right? Like,
No.
yeah.
Not at all. I didn't even have a thought, even getting sober, no idea what I wanted to do. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I like ideas. But it does feel uh like I crave now success, or I'm like itching for something bigger, and achieving my
Mm-hmm.
goals. Um that feels like a better high. Like I get off on like, yeah, I fucking yes.
Yeah.
I don't
Very,
know. It's just
no,
like,
it's very true though, and I can totally appreciate that. Um, I wanted to ask you this: when somebody's in your barber chair, um,
mhm.
do you find yourself having the sobriety conversation with people often?
Yeah, yeah. There's certain people like I'll bring it up, and then they're like, "Oh, really? I am too."
Yeah.
Um, you know, and or I have clients that do drink, and I sometimes I don't mention it. I just kind of enjoy the conversation because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be about me, and
No.
or it doesn't have to like. There's always a certain time to bring up sobriety,
Yeah.
but maybe they'll be like, "Oh, what are you doing for Christmas?" And they'll tell their version, and I'll tell mine, and I'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, and I'm like, "Did I ever tell you I don't drink?" And some of my clients didn't know
Yep.
that I'm sober, and then they always congratulate me, and then it's just certain. I don't feel like I want to wear my sober hat everywhere. Like I
And you
don't need
shouldn't. Yeah.
to. I
Yeah.
just some people though do love talking about it a lot, and sometimes I'm like, I just rather be a mystery to people.
Mm-hmm.
Let you think that I go home and chug some whiskey.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I do love when in sobriety world I come across someone and be like, they love that I'm sober and we connect.
Mm-hmm.
And I like someone a little more when they're sober.
Definitely. I mean,
It's
I
like,
think
yeah.
something I always say is like one sober addict or sober alcoholic talking to another, we speak the same language, and we don't really have to go
Mm-hmm.
into the details of how bad it got, or like the detail, like the really like gritty details of it, because we've all lived there, we've all experienced the same emotions, and but we're all on the same sort of like I don't know, wavelength, I guess, where
Yeah.
you and I think, and I'm the same as you. Like I love talking to sober addicts and sober alcoholics. It makes my day to hear that somebody that I met a year ago just celebrated 6 months or a year or whatever. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm super stoked for anybody who's getting sober and anybody who's living a better life as a result of it.
Yeah.
But I also need my like regular, like, let's talk about something other than not drinking,
Mm-hmm.
because like you can almost like you can almost go into this like mode of like you're an addict for talking about sobriety, or like that's all you know how to do is talk to another addict. But then
Mm-hmm.
like a normal person comes to you and you're like, what do you mean you don't want to talk about getting sober? And so I think it's
Yeah.
great. I think the balance is really important, and for me, I need that in my life as well. And I know a lot of barbers who um I don't know, I think the barbers are like, somehow, barbers especially, not hairstylists but barbers,
Mm-hmm.
have a role for people, that they're almost a sounding board, or a like, you develop a relationship with that repeat client, and you get to know things about their life, and they let you in on a little bit more every time, and you almost have
Yeah.
this like this I don't want to say like therapist role, but it's somehow like, you don't have to be the therapist, but they almost look at you as like, okay, I could talk about my tough day with my barber, because like we're both sitting here. It's kind of an intimate thing that you're doing, like if you're touching somebody's head, and they trust you
Yeah.
with sharp things around their ears and shit. So you know,
It's something about sitting in a chair
yeah,
that must bring like a thinking cap or talk like venting. Um, for sure. It is exhausting sometimes. You absorb like other
yeah,
people's lives. But yeah, I do have a client that he actually no cutting his hair decided to go sober,
mm,
and it's almost his year, and I
amazing,
feel he enjoys coming to me knowing I am sober too.
yeah,
Um and yeah, so it is pretty cool. And one of my clients, when it was my 5 year, I told people it was my sober birthday, and he showed up with a chip, like the
oh
five
yeah,
year chip.
cool,
Yeah, and I was so like, it felt so good. Like I didn't even ask for it, or it just he brought it to me.
yeah,
I didn't even think about a chip. I don't really get chips anymore.
right,
But I
yeah.
carry that chip in my purse every day, so I love that chip.
100%,
Um,
that person thought of
yeah,
you and cared enough to go and pick something up and get something either designed for you, or you know what I mean, but to actually acknowledge you like that, and on your,
yeah.
and I know your sober birthday because it's my actual birthday, April
Is
16th,
it your
right?
birthday?
Yeah, April 16th, yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
so I'll be sure to send you a message.
Okay.
6 years this
Happy
year.
birthday. Yeah,
Yeah,
6, dude.
awesome.
Trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we finish, I just want to talk, and this is purely out of my curiosity. Um
hmm
uh when did you start getting into motorcycles, and like what drew you to it?
Um, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got my first motorcycle. And that was another thing. Being sober, I never rode it when I thought of drinking or
Yeah.
was in my relapsing moments, but definitely knew that I could not ride a motorcycle drinking. So, what got into it? I mean, it's a high.
Mm-hmm.
I know we look for highs in a natural way, natural highs,
Yeah.
and definitely that's a feeling I get. I got into it because I always had boyfriends I was always riding on the back,
Yep.
and I'm just not that girl. I'm that girl that wants to ride
Mm-hmm.
myself. So, um, yeah, that's just why I continue to ride. I am sober, and it's just another I hate saying the word addiction. Like, it's because I feel like addiction is a good thing. But since I can't tattoo myself as much anymore, now I focus on I'm gonna spend my money on my motorcycle and make it its own.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you spend a
and
lot
it's
more
an
money on a motorcycle
escape.
than you will on tattoos.
This is true. I know. Yes.
But you know,
But
you're right. It is an
yeah.
escape, and it is like it's something that I don't know. Like my wife and I both ride as well, and
Mhm.
unfortunately we don't get to ride together that often, because like somebody's home with a
Yeah.
kid or somebody's working, and um,
Yeah.
but when we do, it's just like there's something really special about it, and um, it doesn't matter. Like what I really like about it is that you don't have to have a destination, you don't have to have a plan, you just get on and go, and
Yeah.
it's there's something freeing about it, and you know, I wrecked a couple bikes under the influence
Hmm.
back in the day, and
Well,
so I had a thing, like I had a fear of it, I guess, when I got sober,
yeah. Yeah.
still. But today, like I like the fact that I can get on it, and I know that I'm capable. I know that I'm not under the influence, and there's something about it that's like that still gives me that excitement,
Hmm.
the excitement of, like, you know, we like to go fast, we like to, you know what I mean, like you like to still push boundaries, but it's in,
Hmm.
i I mean, I don't want to say it's in a healthy way, but it's in a lot healthier way than abusing
Yeah.
substances. And like
Yeah.
I always seek that stuff out, and my wife too. Like we're both fighters. Like we both, you know, she fights MMA. I do like boxing and Muay Thai. We're both on
Hmm.
bikes. We both like we crave the same sort of excitement, and those things really, I think, take the place of the excitement and the danger that drugs and alcohol once gave us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just in our blood to have some sort of thrill.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. And just riding, you feel the wind, you feel nothing's protecting you.
Yeah.
You feel the road. So it just feels like you're living life. You're feeling life, right?
Yeah.
And I felt so numb, really, or tons of waste of time
Mm-hmm.
drinking. I can't. So many nights or so many days, like, damn, I could have been like doing something really dope that day.
Sure.
Instead, I'm just at a bar.
Yeah.
Sounds lame. Now that I think about it, I'm like, ugh, there's so many places I could have traveled, or yeah. So
There's lots of time for that though.
there's so much things. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Listen, I want to wrap it up. I really appreciate you sharing your story. I know this is the first podcast that you've done, so like, I just want to thank you for you know, being a part of this and being so open and honest. And I know that uh, somebody listening is going to hear your story and relate to it. And
Yeah.
my hope is that that person is gonna, you know, take that first step towards sobriety because of your story. So before we go though, usually like to ask people, like, if people want to connect with you or learn more about you, where can they find you on, say, social media?
Yeah, my handle is Jackie, JACKIE _ wildflower.
Mhm.
Or you can check out my barber shop and all my barbers. That's backroads _ barbershop. Um, yeah, that's me. That's my
Awesome.
life. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, I'll include those in the show notes. And yeah, I just want to thank you again, Jackie. It's been a pleasure to actually sit sort of face to face with you and chat. And yeah, I look forward to just kind of continuing to watch along with your story and see you grow in sobriety and in business and everything else, all the other great things you're doing.
Yeah, no, thank you. I feel good. Just kind of having to speak about it. I don't speak about it like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good reminder to to remind myself why I'm doing this.
Yeah,
You know, because I just live it every day. I don't just sit back and kind of acknowledge it, my journey. So it's good. I'm glad I
definitely.
did this, and I'm glad you reached out. And
Yeah,
I love hearing everyone else's conversations. You
awesome.
know,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah,
All right. Well, I know we both got to get going, so I just want to say thank you
yes,
again. And
thank you.
yeah, I know this story is going to help somebody out there, so appreciate you.
Yes. Okay.
All right, take care.